Hey guys, it's Angelo, and due to a frequent amount of requests concerning my Shadow Priest specific add-ons and macros, I've decided to share with you guys some of the add-ons and macros that I use, as well as handing some priest specific game tips over to you. Now that the pre-patch is here and the Legion has set foot on Azeroth once more, I hope that these things will come in handy for you, as the Broken Shore is only a month away. That being said, please be aware that these are just my personal preferences, and how you personally enjoy the game is of course entirely up to you. Now without further ado, let's get right into it. I've covered this in a previous video of mine, but I can't stress it enough that WeakAuras 2 is our most important add-on and will make the apparent randomness and slight unpredictability of our class almost non-present. On top of that, WeakAuras helps us to consider which steps we take next, to ensure we stay in void form for as long as we possibly can. I track my insanity with Twintop's Insanity Tracker, which is a WeakAura string that Twintop created. Again, thank you very much for this, which is by the way linked in the description. On this bar, I am able to see how many stacks I currently have, and by stacks I mean void form stacks, how many more I will get with the current rate of drain to generation, and how many more seconds I will remain in void form if I was to stop casting. The reason these things are important is the idea that with this information I can now make multiple decisions. Will I use Void Torrent or Dispersion? Will I use Power Infusion if talented? Is it worth using a Mindbender for more insanity generation, or should I wait until next Void Form? Questions like these can be answered when having a look at this bar, as it gives me the exact information on the matters at hand. Let's have a look at an example. Here, I could consider using Dispersion in order to remain in Void Form. This would let my Mindbender get off of its cooldown, and it would potentially let me get a longer Void Form as I am currently in. However, the risk of dropping out of Void Form at this point is too high, and I decided to not use any of my cooldowns for this, and prepare my spells for the next Void Form. So rather than running into the risk of essentially using my cooldowns after just dropping out of Void Form and then just basically wasting them during a non-Void Form phase, I'd rather save them for the next, trying to aim for higher stacks this time around. I track my auspicious spirits using Twintop's Legion AS Tracker. Tracking your auspicious spirits gives you advantages to players who actually do not. First, you know exactly how much insanity you are getting when not in Void Form, and can actually calculate when you will be ready to enter Void Form next. This means you can begin mentally preparing for your next Void Form without having to think about when it is actually ready. And second of all, while in Void Form, you get a rough estimate of how much of a buffering zone you have available to yourself. What do I mean by a buffering zone? By this I simply mean the free insanity you are getting through your spirits that create a Void Form padding, basically giving you free extra seconds in Void Form, depending on how many spirits are on their way. Let's have a look at an example. Here, I use my AS tracker to be aware of how much leniency I currently have while in Surrender to Madness. I know that with the 3 targets in my cleave, I will have a big buffering zone because the chances of my auspicious spirits proccing is very high, and gets higher constantly with more haste. This assures me that I do not need to use a cooldown yet to remain in Void Form, and can continue casting with relative ease. Now, when talking about practice and awareness, I'll also talk about my mouse over macros really quick. If you want more information on my macros specifically, please check out my video concerning them, linked in the description of course, but know that mouse over macros are what makes or breaks a good Shadow Priest in my personal opinion. While practicing on a target dummy, try implementing these mouse over macros into your gameplay. Practice makes perfect, and more so with the Shadow Priest than with any other class in the game. Especially when using Surrender to Madness, we have a very thin line of making mistakes, and when we do, this will literally cost us our life. This means we need to use every means necessary to prevent this from happening, and this includes being aware of your surroundings and the boss mechanics, as well as trying to make your gameplay as easy as possible, where mouse over macros truly shine of course. Rather than having to target my enemy, I simply hover my mouse over its body or its nameplate and begin casting spells onto it from here. This saves me the precious time of clicking, and I can now use the time differently, for example checking on my boss ability timers or my general surroundings. These things become more and more important the more difficult the content you are progressing gets, and only through practice will you learn how to overcome these obstacles. To conclude, I've shown you some interesting and especially helpful game tips that I hope you can benefit from in the future. Keep in mind that these factors are what have helped me personally the most so far, but perhaps things like mouse over macros or weak auras are something you personally really dislike, and that is absolutely fine. I hope that this video has answered some of your questions and helps you to improve your further gameplay. Thank you so much for watching, my friends. If you have enjoyed this video, please feel free to leave a like. If you have any way you think that I can improve, please don't hesitate and tell me in the comments, or even subscribe if you would like to see more. Now have fun with whatever it is you're doing, and I'll see you guys in the next one.